That's the sound that a frog makes when it's being swallowed alive by a snake. It's one of the many things that I learned when I spent a month living on a tree in the forest. Why did I do that? More on that a bit later, but this is how the journey started.
When nothing's left in the vessel and you scrape, that was my childhood. No comic books. The school didn't have any sport facilities. Like just barely could manage hand to mouth and doing part-time jobs. When other kids who have it in a good way, born with a silver spoon, these kind of harsh realities they only see in movies. I grew up with this, and that's given me a perspective that any situation, I'm always prepared for the worst.
I stand up for what I believe in, and sometimes I find myself on the wrong side of the law for doing that.
I've been charged with trespassing twice.
Just before the world leaders were supposed to meet in Copenhagen to agree on a climate-saving deal, I climbed up the British Parliament to tell the world leaders that they should stop the dirty politics and instead focus on saving the climate. It's ironical that my country, which is hell-bent on destroying whatever biodiversity we have left in the country, is hosting a conference on biodiversity. You and I have rights, but what about the rights of our forests? I'm going to be spending 1 month with a tree which is going to be gone very soon. Greenpeace is aiming at mobilizing 1 million voices to save the forest through an online petition. Let's show our leaders that 1 million voices cannot be ignored.
In my quest to find out the true impact of coal on the environment, I traveled through 5 states in the country last year in July and August to hear stories firsthand from people who either in the past have been in the path of development or are right now standing in the path of coal mining. One of the interesting people who I met was Chote Singh, who is a Gond tribal from Singrauli. Chote Singh and his ancestors for many years have lived off the Mahua-rich forest of Mahan in Singrauli. One morning when Chote Singh was walking into the forest to collect firewood, I offered to walk with him. And when we were walking through the forest, I saw something what looked like a leftover of a bonfire. So I asked him, what's this? He said, an old lady died in the village yesterday, so she was cremated in the forest. So then I asked him in Hindi, यहाँ पे कोई स्मशान भूमि नहीं है? And then he replied, साहब हमारा जीना मरना सब जंगल में ही है. अगर कोई नया बच्चा पैदा होता है तो उसके पालने के लिए लकड़ी भी जंगल से मिल जाती है, और अगर किसी का देहांत हो तो उसको जलाने की व्यवस्था भी जंगल में है. What he meant was, if a baby is born, the wood for the cradle also comes for the forest, and if someone dies, there are provisions for the last rites for that person in the forest. And now tribals like Chote Singh are living in the perpetual fear of losing their forest and livelihood forever due to coal mining. There are many stories that I heard, and the only thing that I had in my mind running constantly was I need to tell these stories to people. I need to let all of you know what all is at stake, and that's when I decided to go and occupy a tree in the fringes of Tadoba Andhari Tiger Reserve in Chandrapur, Maharashtra. The reason why I did that was, I know everyone is not going to go and live on the tree for a month, but I wanted to bring the forest in the living rooms of people, on the television sets, on the Twitter page, on the Facebook page, on the laptops. Someone somewhere when in the city they wake up with a morning cup of coffee and read the newspaper, they read about my story, they'll know why I'm doing what I'm doing, and they will be able to take an informed decision to save the forest. The first thing that I noticed when I climbed up the tree on the 1st of September was on my left there was a coal mine which was just a stone's throw away. I could see and hear the blast 3 times a day. I could feel the ground beneath my feet shake. I could see the smoke rise in the distance. Right opposite my tree house, I could see 3 of the 7 chimneys of the Chandrapur coal-fired power station. And when I turned around, all I could see was beautiful lush green forests which are in danger. And I thought, how old might these chimneys be? 40, 50 years old? And how old are our forests? Hundreds of years old. So how can a 50-year-old man-made structure pose such a grave threat to forests which have existed for hundreds of years? That just didn't seem right to me. Days passed in the forest, and with every passing day, I was growing richer in new experiences. I'm a hardcore city-bred guy. I've never lived in the forest, but when I decided to spend a month in the forest, amongst many things, the most important lesson that I learned was the forest has a lot to offer us year after year after year for many generations, if only we would learn how to use it and not abuse it. For the 30 days that I was there, I did not use any toothbrush, no toothpaste, no Colgate, Pepsodent, nothing. Neem came in very handy. It's bitter, but quite refreshing. A shepherd taught me how to source my drinking water right next to the riverbed by digging a hole and using the natural filtration process. And for a month, me, 1,000 other people who visited me over the month, including the Member of Parliament, we all drank this same water. For the first week, bathing was a problem because the water in the river was very muddy, so I had to wait for the rains to come. It rained only twice in the first week, so every time it rained, I just had to go and stand in the rain, but then it stopped raining. The flowing river water became crystal clear. I was sorted. I also learned that nothing goes to waste in the forest, not even a morsel. Every afternoon after I finished my lunch, I just used to go, and instead of washing my hand, I would just submerge my hand in the river, and thousands of little fish would just come and lick my hand clean off every last morsel. Many afternoons I would just go and stand ankle deep in the river to just kill time, and thousands of little fish would just come and nibble on to the dead skin of my feet. And I did that almost every afternoon for leisure, and I hear that a lot of people get the same treatment done in the cities by paying thousands of rupees, and it's called fish pedicure. I also learned that no one disturbs you in the forest if you do not disturb the peace. 20 meters away from my tree house was another tree which had claw marks of a leopard. Locals told me that a leopard frequents that tree a lot. He was a shy guy. He pretty much kept to himself. I did not get to see the leopard, and I'm not complaining, but I bet he saw me. He could smell me. But he did not see me as a threat, and I wasn't a threat. I was there for the forest. I wasn't there for coal. A lot of kids from the nearby village Padmapur used to come to the forest regularly to play. The forest was their PlayStation. They would sometimes come spend hours using their handkerchief trying to catch fish, and finally when they would have managed to catch one, they'll just look at it in a plastic bottle and then they'll let the fish go. This is Swapnil, 11-year-old kid. He used to come to the forest regularly to collect bamboo shoots. He lives alone in Padmapur. His mom and dad work in this city, and he cooks for himself. So he used to collect bamboo shoots and go back and sometimes make sabzi. So I got hold of him one day and I asked him, will you get me some, because I've never tasted bamboo shoot sabzi. And he did oblige. One day he got me a little tiffin box and he had cooked it himself. There was a lot of oil and there was a lot of salt that he had used, but I still have fond memories of bamboo shoot sabzi, or bambu ki bhaji like he used to call it. On the 28th day of my occupying the tree house, I met someone very inspiring, and he said something which will stay with me for the rest of my life. I'd like to share that with you. He's a 72-year-old man who read about me in a Marathi paper, traveled 70 kilometers, changed 2 buses. He had to walk 2 kilometers just to meet me. When he met me, he told me that the river, it has a purpose. It's devoted to keep flowing with a dream that the river will go and someday it will meet the ocean. Sometimes it does, sometimes it does not, but the river never stops flowing. And then he told me that your fight to save the forest is not an easy one. It's a difficult one. You may or may not win, but please make sure that you always keep flowing. Do not ever stop. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And how many of us are ready to go on a tree house now? Oh, there's a lot of hands. You're going to take us on a ride?
Why not?
Why not? Yeah, it's very important. I know India is, probably having a lot of green area compared to, a lot of other countries. So what do you think is the most important thing right now? You know, like there's priority kept. So what is the most important thing that everybody should be focusing on right now?
I would say the most important is, like you said, India has a lot of green area compared to other countries. So the most important thing right now is whatever we have, just keep it like that. Because in the blind race of development, we have reached a stage where everyone has absolute disregard for our natural resources. It's development happening at any cost. We should not let that happen. And for everyone sitting here in the audience, the only message I wanted to give out by doing this was, it's not a very radical thing that I did. It's not a superhero. You don't need a Superman or a Spider-Man. All you need is ordinary people like you and me who go out there and do extraordinary things. And that's when we'll be able to make this a better country.
Thank you. And you rightly said, I mean, there are a lot of endangered species going around. You know, you hear about them, you know, the work done for tigers and, you know, all these things. But in my mind, whenever I see that endangered species, humans are the first thing that comes to my mind. You know, sooner or later, we will be on that list if we don't take care of them, right?
That's true.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Brikesh.